Welcome to the end of the year special of Rock the Stage Show. Hi, I'm your host, Rich Bontrager, the Trigger, and tonight we're going to bring you the top 5 most viewed episodes of 2024. In 2024, we aired and produced over 52 different episodes with different guests. 2024, the Rock the Stage team expanded by bringing on Robert Stack, and what a big change it was. Robert became my main celebrity wrangler, going out and finding these great guests, celebrities, actors, authors. He did so much for us. Robert is a true celebrity rock star. He has worked behind the scenes for decades with such people as Bob Hope, just to name one. In fact, when he worked with Bob Hope, he helped him increase his reach, his impact, his overall brand strategy, and much, much more. And that's what he's doing here with Rock the Stage. I cannot express to you how important and great it has been to have Robert on our team. He's helped me personally, helped the Rock Stage show, and helped us make better, greater connections around the world. Hall of Fame speakers, award-winning actors, authors, and special people who have led global movements have all appeared on Rock the Stage because of what Robert Stack does behind the scenes. I cannot thank you enough, Robert, for making 2024 such a great year. What a year it's been. So tonight, sit back and enjoy highlights from the top 5 most viewed episodes of 2024. It may surprise you, as it did me, what people really enjoyed and they wanted to view. So sit back and enjoy. And with that, let the countdown begin. At number 5, Dr. Patrick Williams joins the countdown. He's one of the earliest pioneers of coaching, of life coaching. Pat is often called the ambassador of life coaching. A licensed psychologist since 1980, Pat began executive coaching in 1990 with Hewlett-Packard, IBM, Kodak, and other big-name brands. Along with that, he's worked on the Front Range of Colorado. And here's what we talked about on the episode we called Meet the Ambassador of Life Coaching, which aired on September 9th, 2024. And as we pick up the conversation, Dr. Pat dives into changes that have happened in coaching, in life coaching in particular. It's got a lot of changes. What was woo-woo, not accepted, and now it's so well accepted and so different. Here's Dr. Patrick Williams at number 5.
Yeah, it means beyond the person, or literally it means without the mask. Persona means mask in Greek.
Oh,
So transpersonal is like being more real, being more who you are, getting to the soul, mind, body, spirit, which today there's more proof about what I was trained in, meditation, yoga, early stage biofeedback. All of a sudden we started getting scientific proof of what was so-called taught from 6,000-year-old philosophies.
right.
Yeah.
So that does play into our world today because the big thing right now is be more authentic.
Yes.
You're more authentic. Be more
Right.
authentic. And it's coming in all sectors. And even in the media world, people are dying for break the celebrity mold, the Hollywood glam, and just be authentic through me, through the camera. And we talk about that all the time.
Yeah.
So it is interesting how that's come all the way around. What do you think made that happen? Why are we back there again?
Well, we're back there in a better way. It's kind of at the same point, but spiraled up. So there's more wisdom than there was in the days of the encounter groups and the getting in an encounter group and saying what the hell you wanted about somebody with no holds barred. That wasn't always helpful. That was sometimes helpful. But nowadays, I even wrote another book called Getting Naked on emotional intelligence.
I was going to ask you about that book.
Yeah, right time, right place, right person. So it doesn't mean share yourself authentically with everybody because you can get in trouble, right? I think the push, especially in media, I mean, if you're talking about actors or basketball stars or
It's
whomever,
a big shift.
Because they're all playing a role, they're and some people get so tied up in that role they forget what reality is. So I think the trend is, well, and here's where, okay, we've been suffering from a loneliness crisis since even before COVID, and that's social media, that's lack of connection, that's lack of things that really connect people with society, which the Harvard study of 85 years on longevity The number one ingredient that will help you live longer is social connection, not isolation.
Well, and I've had several guests on that have touched on that very thing. In fact, a report came out, a study of the loneliest places in the United States. Where would you guess that would be? Where's it at?
The loneliest place in the United States?
Yeah,
Probably LA or New York, I would guess,
Washington, D.C.
Well, I could see that too. Yeah, there's our nation's capital with a lot of crap going on in the streets, but
And every time I talk to somebody about that, living here in D.C., they're like, well, that makes a lot of sense.
huh.
Because you have the rotation every 4 years of presidential teams, families. They're in, they're out. The senators, 2 years in it. So it's
Yeah.
an endless rotation of people. So just when you begin to get to know somebody, they're gone.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And it's growing that way more and more. How do we break that cycle to either build relationship better, faster, or we learn to deal with it?
Well, there's that. I'm just thinking out loud about if somebody in that position is authentic. I mean, I don't think we should have senators for 40 some years like Mitch McConnell, or I
Right.
don't think you should be a lifetime politician. It's supposed to be a civil servant. When did that stop? But on the other hand, if you have a chance to be real instead of play into the media, now, I don't know how to do that. I mean, there's some politicians that have gotten in trouble for telling the truth,
Yeah.
back in the days of a presidential candidate who cried, oh my God, oh my God. And then you have people who are more authentic, like Jimmy Carter, and he got smashed because he, wasn't. So
Right.
I think, yeah,
But then now, today, they respect him for being that honest. And now the respect he's earned today is unbelievable.
right.
He did the right thing for the right
Yeah.
reasons, paid for it, but now they love him.
Yeah, he had kind of a bad staff because he was so trusting, and then he had the things in Beirut happened and everything,
Yeah.
So, but I think the goal, being authentic, doesn't mean sharing your whole soul anywhere, anytime. But in important relationships, if you can be honest, whether it's with your wife, your kids, your friends, your neighbors, just enough. Years ago, I think about 4 years ago, I wrote an article for Forbes Coaching on authenticity in the workplace. And I remember quoting the new CEO of Goldman Sachs. Can't remember his name at the time, but he said, our policy is going to be when somebody comes to work and we say, hi, how are you? We really want to know the answer to that. Not the long story, but if I say, oh God, thanks for asking. My wife and I were up all last night because our 6-year-old just informed us she's pregnant. What are we going to do? And the boss can say, wow, that's got to be hard. Thanks for sharing. If there's anything you need today, let me know.
Right.
That's it. You don't have to tell the story.
Right.
And you don't have to make it your story. Like, oh yeah, my daughter did that. No, none of that Me Too listening. It's listening with a reverence and no need to fix.
Now,
Just
is that like a let the air out a little bit so you can go to work, you can focus, like you come in,
yeah,
you feel it,
yeah.
you're actually letting them go, okay, we're going to let it breathe
Yep.
it out, and then you can go back to work now.
Yeah, because the science on it, if we hold in emotions, and here's the neurology today, if you're hooked up to a brain machine and you share something with, an fMRI, I guess they're called, if you express an emotional angst of some sort, your brain will light up differently. That will go away, a different part of the brain lights up. So emotions are actually emotion, energy in motion. And that's not just a misnomer, that is true. There's an energetic heart-to-heart. This comes from the Heart Math Institute, by the way. It's not Woolgity science. Your heart resonance, when you're an empathetic person, you're connecting to the other person with heart energy. There really is an electrical energy where you're in sync. In the 70s, they used to call it good vibes, man.
Yeah.
Well, they were kind of right. There really is vibrations that connect us.
We actually had several different doctors, experts in that life coaching conversation this year talk on the same aspect of the changes and the power of having a good life coach. On the number 4, we go in our top 5 countdown of Rock the Stage Show for 2024. Kevin Smith is the founder, visionary, and chief kindness chaser of the global nonprofit Kindness Worldwide. He was inspired to launch this initiative in last November of 2023 at Good Friday when he lost his wallet. And someone brought it to his home and gave it back to him, and it revolutionized his life. The episode was called How I Lost a Wallet, Launching Kindness Worldwide. It aired on January 23rd of 2024, way back at the beginning of the year. And as we jump into the conversation, we're having a good laugh for a couple moments there. And because we are each making a difference in the world ourselves, but some people don't believe that an average person, just an average everyday old person, can make a big difference in the world. Join the laugh and join the conversation with Kevin Smith. Well, and it's kind of interesting you're saying that. I'm thinking, how much more of a generic name can you get than Kevin Smith? Yeah. Or, as you said earlier, the blurry lady. Yeah. Most of us feel like the blurry person in the picture. We feel like we just blend into the woodwork. And what you're speaking to right now is you're an individual that can make an impact. You can be that domino effect person. I said at the beginning, when you reflect on that yourself now, how does it feel to be the domino effect?
Well, I always say this is a we endeavor, not a me endeavor. It's going to take a village, to make an impact. But we all have the ability to be the change we wish for, and it's just a matter of being cognizant each and every day of the role we can play. Ordinary people do extraordinary things and can do extraordinary things. Look, I'm just an average Joe. I'm not any better than anybody else. This Good Samaritan woman, we're just average people. And the reality of it is, I think why this resonates is it shows the transformative power of kindness. Everything that's already happened, all the positivity that's already occurred and what will occur, we can trace back to this one original act of kindness. And that's the beauty of it, the ripple effect. We can see it.
Yes.
But I think the beauty of it as well is that it reminds us like how many acts of kindness, just like this one, happen every day, everywhere, that have just the impact, are just as powerful, but we never hear about it. We never learn about the ripple effects. So I think it reminds us of our shared humanity. It reminds us of the goodness that I think is inherent within us all. It reminds us that we all have that power. The power of kindness is unlike any other. This changed my life. I know it's already changed other lives. It's going to continue to change lives. It's going to bring people and communities together. And every single one of us is part of the story. See, that's the other aspect of this. This story, as beautiful as it is, this story is not Brooke's. It's not mine. Brooke might have written the introduction to the story. I happen to write the forward, to pay it forward, so to speak.
Yep.
But the most beautiful part of this story are the chapters yet to be written that all of us are going to write together. Because I believe in the character of humanity. I believe the character of our communities and our country and the world. And we're just waiting for a spark to ignite a flame, to ignite a kindferno, because this really reminds us of there's so much more that unites us than divides us.
Well, and you're doing that through your kindness citations. Again, this is about community by community, but you now literally have people giving kindness citations saying, you did it. You're doing it. It's encouragement, but it's also something, as silly as it sounds, they get something to hold on to.
Yeah.
How that's got to be powerful to pause and recognize and pass it on, isn't it?
Well, think about changing the paradigm. Look, we all know the issues with police-community relations in recent years and some of the very unfortunate events that have happened. But that, again, the exception, not the norm. Our police are generally trained to see the bad, right? And look, we've got to protect our communities, and there's bad elements. But I believe the good in our communities is far exceeds the bad. Well, let's train our police to also see the good. And let's recognize and reward the best of our communities for people that are doing kind things and improving our communities. But the same token, we know the vast majority, overwhelming number of our police are good people. And yes, mistakes happen. There's bad elements from time to time. It happens to any organization, but that does not define our police departments. So it also allows our communities to see the good that defines our police. And what happened in York County, our police commissioner, he could not have been a greater champion of this effort. He was in his patrol vehicle with a camera on, issuing citations, and it brought tears to the eyes of many people who got those citations because they were being seen, right? And I know you have a phrase about seeing the gold.
Yeah.
There's gold in everyone. There's good in everyone. It was a way for people to be seen because they saw that someone else saw the good in them.
Yes.
And it was also a great thing for our police. I mean, morale, just doing something positive. And it was all over the county, York City, all of York County. And that's a model that I think we can replicate in police departments everywhere to improve police and community relations.
Well, Governor Shapiro, the police departments had the kind of citations going on. I've heard about blood drives. I've heard about schools, colleges symbolically doing this, and it's already taken on a life of its own.
Oh, absolutely. Well, think that there's a framework of Kindness Week. In the framework, Kindness Week worldwide is the Saturday before World Kindness Day to the Saturday after. We made it 8 days. We went the extra mile to add a day of the week. There's 8 characteristics of kindness, symbolically a day for each characteristic. And so the framework of Kindness Week worldwide is let's officially recognize what I believe is humanity's greatest asset. Let's have a proclamation. It's largely symbolic, but symbolism matters. Let's have mayors, governors, every community in the country, I believe, in the world should really embrace this.
Well, as we take a brief pause here in the middle of our top 5 countdown, we do want to thank the sponsors. That was another shift and change of 2024 for Rock the Stage Show. We had several different sponsors in and out, but I want to highlight 3 of our sponsors that made the year a big difference. Adavita. Adavita is a podcasting audio platform, and their team helps you get your message, your voice out to the world better. If you're looking for something to help you to build your brand in the world of audio podcasting, reach out to Adavita. Plexicam was a great new addition to us. I use Plexicam every day. Plexicam is a broadcast tool where I can look right at the camera, clear through to my scripts, and you don't know that I'm reading anything, and it doesn't interrupt my flow, but it keeps me connected to you through the camera lens. Plexicam was a great sponsor. And Suspiciously Convenient Productions. They are out of Canada, and they actually connect with another one of our people I'm going to talk about later on in the show tonight. But Suspiciously Convenient Productions, another sign that we're going global more and more at Rock the Stage. Thank you, sponsors, for being a part of this and making it grow and expand over the past year. And now back to our countdown. I feel like kind of like Casey Kasem from American Top 40. And now at number 3, I love Casey Kasem. At number 3, Janet M. Harvey. Janet inspires company leaders to seize opportunities that arise from the challenge and situations and sustain excellence. She's a person who transforms what many perceive as negative traits and circumstances into positive opportunities to fulfill the utmost dreams of the company. Janet is a CEO, award-winning author, speaker, thought leader, and professional coach. And on March 17th, we aired the episode, The Unspoken Tension of Leadership. We're going to pick up the conversation now as Janet is jumping into the heart of the conversation. And the term that we often throw out there, conflict management. Join the conversation now at number 3.
And then here's the thing. How many years have we heard conflict management?
Yes. Which I hate that term, by the way. Personally, I hate that term.
And what's evoking the hate?
Because me like you, I enjoy at some level the fact we do need to wrestle. To get to the next level, you do have to wrestle, even with your own team, to get to where you really want to get to.
Yeah. So when we harness that wrestling, because it tells us something is asking to be changed, now it's an adventure, right? Now everybody can bring their creative juices to it. Unfortunately, we have trained a whole lot of leaders to believe that they need to keep things on the even keel, right? Not too much variability from the water level. We don't want any big waves. It's too hard to manage predictability in our results. And in the process, we have snuffed out the smaller voices that have a creative idea. And we've given great energy to the ones who say, nothing's going to change. So, we're underperforming to potential in all organizations because we've decided that predictability and consistency is king. So the shift is when tension shows up, what's the truth of the tension? What's the evidence that suggests that the way we've always done it is no longer producing as satisfying a result? It doesn't have to be complete breakdown and failure. Yes, of course, we have those things that we're navigating. But if we can pay attention to the moment when we feel tension, it holds the seed of innovation. And if we can get curious, then that seed gets sprouted. And then the organization knows what to do with it. But it's the avoidance of the tension that keeps them from optimizing.
So now you're setting me up. Now you're getting me going. So I think today we have a lack of strong leaders. I don't think we have the leaders that you're describing. I don't think we have the people that are willing to knock on the door of danger, of risk, of let's go mix things up. Let's shoot for the back fence and swing big. I think we do have what you were describing, the stable, the predictable leaders. How much that lack of risk-taking leaders is hurting us right now across the world, across the globe, here in America? Why don't we have those visionary risk takers leading the way you're describing?
Why don't we?
So like, have we really been put into a box that much? Have we been trained that much, schooled that much, that we've lost the sense of follow me, let's take the hill?
Okay. When's the last time you listened to an analyst call for a public company?
It's been a while.
Okay. Put it in your memory bank.
Mm-hmm.
You know that the questions are, will you meet the earnings forecasts?
Yep.
What are you doing to manage risk? Here are 3 things going on in your industry that we think are going to put you in trouble. What are you doing about them?
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we've just said, you will be rewarded on your ability to deliver on your promise, even when the unexpected shows up, and you better have a good answer for us.
Mm-hmm.
And then the unexpected happens that even the reporters didn't come up with, and a curveball comes in called COVID, or a curveball comes in like pirates in the Suez Canal, and that blows up the supply chain,
Mm-hmm.
right? We could go on and on, cascading crises in the world. Leaders have never been trained to be agile, generative, regenerative, any of those fancy terms. They've been trained to be consistent, reliable, trustworthy, and they cause their organizations a lot of pain in the process, because if you're off plan, everything else stops. Everything you're investing in strategically to move the organization, to meet the market, all of these things I'm talking about that feel so aspirational, come to a screeching halt. And we cut staff, right? Big reduction in force going on in tech right now.
Yes.
Come on, folks. It is the future. You're going to need that workforce. But they have to do it because they're rewarded in the stock market by meeting forecast. It's a short-term view in a long-term business, and it's creating the ups and downs way bigger. They're not getting this. It's the irony.
So let me take that further, because I do a keynote called the 4 Good Risks of Leadership. And usually when I begin it, I start talking about the negative ones that we all talk about, what you were just describing, the budget, the money, the time, the talent. And then I say, but there are 4 good risks. There's a gasp in the audience. There's good risk in leadership. We don't know that there's good risk in leadership. We don't know anymore that you're supposed to pioneer. You're supposed to get out in front of this and lead, right? That's why you're appointed as a leader.
That's right.
So do you think there are good risk of leaderships that we need to know about?
Yes. I'm totally with you. And here's the challenge. As long as it's somebody giving us a prescription outside of who we are, these are the 4 good risks you should follow. We take it in here, but our body doesn't respond. So I believe every single human being is a leader of themselves. They know an awful lot about leading. But they get themselves into an environment and they give up on themselves and they look outside themselves what they're going to mimic. So not only have we trained it, but we've also set up the system. We've rigged the system. Dress like me, look like me, sound like me, present like me, report like me. And what do people learn? They learn influence, subtle, finesse, relationship building. Now, mind you, all of those things are great skills, but what's the motive
Yes.
And if we can't connect to a motive in here that matters to us, we will start to do the 4 things that get in the way of the 4 good risks: gossiping, criticism,
Yep.
complaining is a similar, lying by omission, the small lies that are about being polite and kind instead of being direct and telling the truth.
Yep.
And then being judgmental, not accepting responsibility for what's going on in the situation, but pointing the finger out at somebody else and not ever getting curious enough to find out, what do they know that I don't know? Right? So this coming back home to self, recognizing my full capacity beyond my personality, learning self-trust to express all of our ability, right and left brain. This is what's missing right now. So good risk, you bet. And I got to be able to move to it from all of my being.
There was so much to that conversation. Jan and I had a great time getting deeper and deeper. And you could tell the chemistry was really there, and we got deeper into that. Moving on to the countdown, number 2, the top 5 most viewed Rock the Stage show of 2024. With over 35 years in the business, Lori S. Wyman, casting director of America, is an accomplished Florida casting director who has some of the biggest blockbuster movies under her belt, commercials, and popular TV shows. Her career began back in the 1980s. She started working on a very popular show as a casting director for Miami Vice. Oh yeah, we all remember Miami Vice with Don Johnson, of course. We had an episode that aired on October 3rd. What does a casting director do? We all hear about it, but what do they actually do? Join the conversation as Lori shares about her days on Miami Vice, but also the realities of how you have to juggle many different people and appointments as your career rises and you work on more than one project.
I literally cut my teeth as far as casting goes on the Miami Vice television series. That was probably the hardest television series I've ever cast. And I've cast a lot of television.
Oh, yes.
A lot. But that was early on. And back then they did 22 episodes a season, which now they don't really do that many a season. And per episode back then, they would go 22, 27 characters per episode.
Yes.
And now financially, they just can't do that.
No.
Now it's 10.
Yep.
You know, now it's a walk in the park for me now, but back then, and it was boom, 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 boom. I mean, it was so fast paced, so intense. And
so how do you stay ahead of that curve? Because I know writers, directors, set creators are always maybe a week, 14 days ahead of everyone, but they're always in production, it seems like. And you did 69 episodes, by the way, just for the counting.
Oh.
So how did you stay ahead of that? No, I've got Steve coming in this week. I've got Bob coming in 2 weeks, and I got to make sure the episodes are right when they land on the airplane.
I worked really hard. I worked really hard, and I worked consistently. There was a period of my career about a dozen years ago. I was doing 5 television series at the same time. I didn't realize one could do that. And it was Burn Notice and Magic City and Glades and Graceland. And then I was doing at the time also the #1 television series on Nickelodeon, which was a kid series.
Yeah.
Everything had to be so well orchestrated. It had to be a finely tuned machine. My casting for this was at this hour. My casting for this was at this hour. Monday and Wednesday was this. Tuesday and Thursday was that. You know, it was I had notes and sticky notes and agendas and calendars everywhere.
So let's go back to Miami Vice for a second, because it wasn't just a cop show. It was an MTV movie with a cop show. So you had to find actors to fill the style that Michael Mann and everyone else was trying to come up with. Was that hard or that easy to, at that time? Those videos were big everywhere. So that was a driving force. You had Phil Collins. You had so many different singer actor types. How was that to fill those slots?
Well, there was a casting director in New York, and she was Michael Mann's person for those kinds of roles.
Gotcha.
And they were doing a maximum of 5 guest stars. She was allowed to bring in a maximum of 5, and then every other role. So if there were 27 roles that episode, I did 22 of them. Back then, though, so that was the mid to late 80s.
Yeah.
Back then, Miami people didn't realize that Miami had really, really good talent.
Mm-hmm.
And so they thought if an actor lived in Miami, well, they weren't that good. They didn't realize back then.
Right.
We did a lot of work. I did a lot of work on my own, making all these business trips to LA and pounding the pavement. We have actors here. And people would say to me, "You have actors in Miami?" Like, yes. It was, because our industry is not that old,
Right. Yes.
So the last 30, 40 years, we've really come into our own here in the Southeast.
Mm-hmm.
And we're considered a really viable source of actors. Whereas
Atlanta all the way down now is all filming everywhere.
Oh, yes.
From Atlanta all the way down, they're shooting everywhere.
That's correct. So it's big. I just cast a movie that was shooting in Washington, D.C. And we got a lot of actors in, that area, in New York, but Maryland and Pennsylvania and, that region.
You didn't call me. I live in D.C. How did I not get that call?
You might not have been the right demographic. I'm not sure.
Now, I do want to go back to one of the show, and it is a personal favorite of mine. Wise Guy, Ken Wall, shot in Vancouver most of the time, but they made a change of actors and locations, and you were smack dab in the middle of that, being in Florida when Wise Guy shifted to a Hispanic storyline, new lead guy. Yes. What's it like to take over a ball like that? Because it was a huge hit, but it got turned kind of upside down. What was that like?
Well, we had a great team. We had some great people. The producer was just the nicest man, one of the nicest producers I ever worked with in my entire career. Alex Beaton was his name. And we had phenomenal people on the crew. And so it was, they gave me an opportunity to cast a lot of people because, like you said, it was kind of an Hispanic version. Yeah. And we had such great Hispanic actors in South Florida. So I was so excited to be able to, that was, I think the 4th big show. I went from Miami Vice to BL Stryker. Yep. I did a couple of episodes of 21 Jump Street, which was shot in Miami.
Yep.
And then from there we went to Wise Guy. So those 21 Jump Street and Wise Guy was Cannell Films, Stephen J. Cannell. Mm-hmm. And so that was great. I just love that. I love casting. I still love casting. Nothing makes me more excited than to find good actors and read with actors. I just love it. After all these years, I still absolutely love it.
So talk about the process, because you love it so much, and it's changed now through COVID. The process has changed. I've talked to a lot of actors that we're now recording ourselves, submitting tapes at home, but it used to be they walked in, stood before a panel or something, and they did lines, right?
Yeah. Well, first they would do it for me.
Yeah. Okay.
When they came in, they would come in front of me. We would rehearse, we would practice a little bit, and then I would put it on tape. My job is to see a lot of people and narrow down to the best people for that particular role. I have intel that the actors may not have. Plus, if I work with a producer and a director, if I work with a production for a while, I kind of get into the groove of what they're looking for. I know they're too pretty. They're not pretty enough. They're too tall. They're too short. I know exactly what they're looking for. So, but when I see an actor's headshot and resume, I go, well, it could be, let's see what they have. I've had a lot of really wonderful actors that it's just not quite right, or they're a little too comedic, or they're a little too serious, or they're, whatever. So when I work with a production, I know what they're looking for. And of course, because I've been doing it for so many years, I kind of settle into it pretty quickly. And so but now, so now they're doing self-tapes.
Yeah. Okay. Yep.
Here's the good and the bad about that. When you come in and you read in front of me, When you do an audition and it's not quite right, I can right there on the spot, I can say, make it a little quicker, make it a little slower, make them a little funnier, make them more serious. So I can adjust you to go with what they're looking for.
Right.
But when you do a self-tape, you don't have that. You don't have my feedback right then.
And that's what several actors have told me. They said it's hollow. I'm by myself. I really don't know what they're going for. I can't read their faces and the mannerisms, because sometimes they're reading you as they're doing their line, but they also know, crap, I got to go back and redo something better than that. So they want number two. With the tape, they don't know any of that stuff, do they?
No. So what I often do, which I think helps a little bit, I always say, do 2 takes 2 different ways. So one of them is a little more serious. One of them might be a little lighter. If you do 2 takes, 2 different ways, and you make individual clips. So don't join them together, because if you join them together, I can't edit it.
I love that conversation. Yes, I'm a TV geek. I love getting into the stuff, but going behind the scenes is always so much fun, and learning what really goes on to make the business come alive. Speaking about making the business come alive, I do need to thank our special Wrangler team. At the top of the show, I did mention my main Wrangler, celebrity Wrangler extraordinary, Robert Stack. Again, thank you, Robert, for being with us. Voiceover and Wrangler, Sandra D. Robinson. I've known her for a long time now. She jumped on and did the voiceover intro to each and every show. You hear her voice. You've seen her on the show, but she also has lent her wrangling skills to her days as an actress and, of course, global speaker and author. Also, Canadian Wrangler, Chris Sturgis. He has helped open the door to the Canadian world, and we love our Canadian brothers and sisters. And for our leadership Wrangler, Linda Fix from Leadership Global. Linda's a phenomenal connector of people, and thank you for reaching out and bringing people to rock the stage in 2024. And now on to our countdown and the #1 spot on the top 5 episodes of Rock the Stage Show for 2024. Mary Kelly improves profit growth and productivity. She is sharing her vault of free sources with our people during that episode. She had so much to give away. It was amazing. If that's not enough, she is also a Hall of Fame speaker and a former Navy commander, and she blends all that together to help people grow professionally. Leadership strategy, better decisions, and faster results was the name of our episode on December the 8th of 2024. Join us as Mary shares the truth that we all are looking for community. We're all looking for a place to belong, and how that actually impacts our leadership and our careers. The #1 show of 2024 with Mary Kelly.
It's an amazing club to be part of, both the military, our NSA family. And let's face it, everybody's looking for belonging. Everybody is looking for that family outside of your own family. You're looking to be accepted and respected and valued. And some people get it at work. And I'm really fortunate that I've had that at work because of what we get to do.
So let's turn the corner and get into the business world here, because in the military, I'm sure you dealt with stress, and business owners, leaders, top tier leaders are dealing with stress at a whole different level right now. What's the first thing you want to tell leaders about the world of stress and how to deal with it?
So some of my executives, so I do some executive coaching. Executive coaching is all levels. It's not always the top tier. Sometimes it's the middle. Sometimes it's the folks who are just coming in and they're like, this is great potential. You need to help with this. So they get real excited. I'm like, hang on, did anybody die today? And they're like, well, no. I'm like, okay, then this is all manageable. And they're like, but I'm like, it's still important, but nobody's actually dead. So having said that, let's frame this properly. Now we just need to make a series of correct decisions that's going to help us move forward. So let's look at the situation. I'm always like, what's the best option out of this situation? This. Okay. What's the absolute worst that could come out of this? Here's this. Oh, right. So here's the big secret. Even the very worst is something you can probably live with. And it's not going to be the very worst. It's going to be something in the middle. It's not maybe going to be the best, but it's probably not going to be the worst either. And our brains are hardwired to go to the worst. We think, oh my gosh, this is the worst thing ever.
Yeah.
And uncertainty plays a huge factor in that. And let's face it, Rich, the world is an uncertain place.
Oh, yeah.
Look at the geopolitical issues. Look at the economic issues. Look, I could talk for days about the economic issues as well. Let's look at domestic issues. Let's look at workplace issues. There's a lot of uncertainty. And what I tell my leaders also is, you can look at the big world issues, and then let's look at your workplace issues. But keep in mind, if your people are having a personal crisis, they don't care about your workplace issues. They don't care about the geopolitical issues. They don't care about the fact that Russia is still in Ukraine and the Middle East is still a crazy place. I mean, They don't care. If they got a diagnosis, that's what they're focused on. If their kid went to the emergency room overnight, that's what they care about. If they had a flat tire on the way into work this morning, that's what they care about. Their personal crises are trumping your workplace issues and the geopolitical issues. So we have to lead the way they need to be led in that moment. And, there's a lot of conversation about, oh, how do I lead boomers? How do I lead millennials? How do I lead, Gen Zers? And one of my Army generals told me, he said, Mary, you don't lead demographics. You don't lead Army people. You don't lead Navy people. You don't lead men. You don't lead women. You lead individuals. And I just thought that was the best.
Ooh, that's really good.
Yeah.
Everyone put a pin in that right now. You lead individuals, not
demographics.
Label and brand.
No, you lead individuals, and you lead in a way that works for them in that moment. So what sometimes people need, and I would ask my students this, I got to teach at the Air Force Academy too. I was a civilian when I taught at the Air Force Academy. And sometimes cadets would come in my office and say, I need advice. I'm like, okay, what's the situation? I'd listen and I'd go, okay, so I don't know you that well. Maybe it's only still September and we haven't gotten to know each other that well. So do you need the mom talk where I say, there, it's going to be okay? Do you need the Navy commander talk, which is, I'm going to kick you in the butt and tell you to get off your butt and stop whining and get to work? Do you need the professor answer that is, now, here's what's probably going to happen? So very systematic, like which piece of advice do you need? And they would think about it and they're like, maybe I need the Navy commander kick in the butt today. I'm like, okay, all right. So keep in mind those other options are available. I'll tell you, you can do this. They're there. Also, systematically, this is going to be in place. But here, this is what you need to do right now and stop whining. So sometimes people know what they need. Sometimes they don't. And sometimes they're like, maybe all three. I don't know. What do you think I need? I don't know. So sometimes you got to give people the options of which leadership style they need in the moment.
Door 1, door 2, door 3, and boom. Now, in keynoting, you do talk about strategy, better decisions, and fast results, which I teased up earlier. I'm really interested in the better decisions. Why are we making bad decisions, and what does it mean to make a better decision? Because I've heard it, like I said, from so many different people, and they're like, I did this, and it went bang, splash, boom. How do you make better decisions, and why are we not making good ones now?
A lot of leaders, and that's such a good question. A lot of leaders during COVID made zero decision because they were so afraid of making the wrong decision that they made zero decision. So we're all familiar with the idea of, fight or flight. When faced with a challenge, fight it or flee it. But there's also freezing and fawning. Freezing is you're deer in the headlights. You do nothing. You just stand there and look at that car that's coming at you.
And we got a lot of that going on right now. We are
so
open everywhere.
So much. People are so fearful of making the wrong decision that they're making no decision. The fawning is they think, oh, if I make a popular decision, if I placate my loudest complainers, then somehow the problem's going to go away. Here to tell you, that's not how it works. That is not what happens. You placate your biggest whiners. That's a worse decision. Now,
well, that's it. The top 5 shows of 2024 for the Rock to Shade Show. I want to thank you for making 2024 such a great year. This show is now seen more around the world than ever before. And our guests are truly some of the top leaders, actors, authors, and creators in the world. Each and every Sunday night, we have a great chance to sit down, have a discussion, and you can join us for these intimate, unscripted conversations. Join us for our new episode as we launch 2025 on Sunday, January 5th, with a 3-time world record martial art expert who not just cracks boards, but now he's the chairman of the boardroom. You want to join us with Leif Becker on January 5th, 2025. I do want to wish you a happy new year. Thank you again for making 2024 such a great year. And I want you to keep rocking your own stage, whatever stage that is. Keep rocking strong in 2025. And God bless. And we'll see you next time on Rock the Stage Show.